Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Live to Be Well. I'm your host, Dr. Kim Logan-Nowlin. ML6 Micah, my beautiful daughter, is not with us tonight. She's out of town. Please keep her in prayer. Listen, let a friend know, let someone know. Share this link, please, that Live to Be Well is on the air. Want to say hello to everyone at Christian Tabernacle Church. Want to thank you, Georgia. Want to thank you, Deborah. Want to thank you, Sabrina and Jeffrey. Want to thank you, Toya, Candace. Listen, the list goes on and on, Miss Linda. Listen, you all really treated me with all respect and the royalty, and all my special delights and treats. Listen, it was amazing to come and be your facilitator for 4 weeks. Talking about pushing past the pain. And this ties into what we're going to be doing with Hope and Healing, because we need to understand there are appropriate ways to push past the pain. And we learned a lot from each other. Hello, Randy. God bless you. God bless you. Listen, it's not too late to make your comments. Do men or women communicate better? Who communicates better, men or women? What do you think? Do you think women communicate better, or do you think men communicate better? Okay, men versus women. Who's a better communicator? All right. Want to say hi to Al Rogers and Sherry and the family. Thank you for always being there, being a great producer for Live to Be Well. Listen, God is doing some new things. No matter what we see in the news, no matter what was going on in our society, God is still in control. Don't lose faith. Do not live by fear. Walk by faith and not by sight. As a mental health specialist, I want to bring to you quality programs that's going to help you with your healing process. As you're going through things, it may just, stir you up a little bit to think about, maybe I need to go talk to someone. It's not a stigma. Get away from the stigmas that something is wrong with you, that you're going crazy. No, if you don't go and talk to someone, it could impact your mental health. So I'm a living witness with talking to someone can do through grief counseling and other things that I've had to go through. I want to let you know that you're not alone. People are hurting across the globe, and people want to reach out just for you and help you. So remember that, Georgia, you're not alone, sweetheart. God bless you. Well, listen, I want to talk about, men, women, communication. Let's talk about the definition of communication before I bring my very special guest on with me tonight. I have a very special guest. Communication. It is the successful conveying of sharing of ideas and feelings. However, if I don't feel that I have a safe place to communicate in, even in my own home, on the job, in the church, who and what happens to me? What happens to me as far as my communication? So, but again, the topic is men versus women. Do I turn to someone else outside of my own home to start talking to? Why do emotional affairs even begin? Communication. Something is lacking in the home, but that's a whole nother show, another topic. Who is a better communicator? So let me read something to you here. It says that women converse together, tend to have conversation with more layers and depth. We're not just going to say, go to the store and get corn. We're going to say yellow corn. We're going to say what brand we want. We're going to go into detail. Well, men will go to the store and just bring a bag of corn back. All right. Well, you just said corn. You should have been more specific. So then men, with each woman adding more depth to a topic. On the other hand, men tend to have much simpler conversation, which can often appear clearer than a woman's conversation. Stemming back to the days of men are from Mars and women are from Venus. We heard that for years. We have understood that there are some fundamental differences between the way men and women think and feel. This difference could not be more apparent in the way in which we communicate and in the goals of our communication. By and large, women are wired with one set of wants and needs in terms of communication, and men are wired with another. The two are quite different, but the awareness of the other's needs and goals can completely change interaction and our understanding of one another. You're not understanding me. Well, what did you just say? I remember my husband, he would say, yes, Kim. Yes, Kim. I remember we took a trip to Atlanta, Georgia. And I said, Arthur, are you listening to me? And you know what he said? I've been listening to you since we left Detroit and we in Atlanta. And that was a 10-hour drive. And I'm like, well, why didn't you say anything? He said, I couldn't get a word in edgewise. You going from one topic to another topic to another. And see, we gifted like that as women. We can do multiple topics. You got to keep up, brothers. You got to be able to keep up. And I remember being in the kitchen with all my aunts and my grandmothers, and they would go from conversations, and everybody be like, weren't we just talking about something else? We left that 5 minutes ago. So it's something how men communicate, how women communicate. Well, listen, tonight I have a very special guest. He and I are going to dialogue. We've been together in Texas at conferences, and we are just on the same page when it comes to the glory of God. And I want to welcome from the backstage on Let It Be Well, Dr. Terry Parks. Come on in, Dr. Parks. Amen. What's going on?
Hey, thank you for having me here, Dr. Kim.
You my go-to doctor. Okay, come on now. Hey, I'm liking the beard. What's going on? You enjoy the silver foxes. You gonna be one of them silver foxes, okay?
Yeah, I guess I'll do a little something here. It's easier to keep that than constantly shaving. So,
I love it. I think it's really a wonderful look.
Well, thank you.
I think it's very distinguished. Okay, so you just go on with yourself. All right, Dr. Parks. We're gonna do something. We're gonna go to look at what everybody else wrote. But what do you think? Men versus women. Who's the better communicator, or is there a better communicator? Come on, talk to me.
Well, I think that women will say they're better communicators, but I don't know if it's necessarily who's better. Okay. I think it depends on the individual. I think it depends on the topic.
Okay.
I think that's what it is. I mean, communicating is like the art of sending and receiving information. Okay.
I agree.
And so the actual art of communication is being able, to hear and receive another person's signals.
Come on.
All right. And so if people who are good at communicating,
yes,
that's when they both feel understood and heard.
Okay.
If you're in a relationship, have you ever heard your partner say, "Why don't you ever listen to me?
Come on.
You never care about what I say."
Okay.
If you've heard that, then that means it's resulting from a breakdown in communication. Either somebody's not listening, somebody's not interested, someone's not validating. But let's hear what everybody has to say, and we'll get into that.
Because this is one of my big pet peeves. Now, Arthur knew not to do this. I'm having a conversation, he reading the Detroit newspaper. I'm like, oh no, we're not doing that. Well, he watching March Madness, but you got to know when to pick your battles. I never had a conversation with March Madness or the draft. Right. I knew not to try to have a conversation during the Super Bowl. Okay.
Yeah.
And he didn't.
And it's timing. Timing
is so important. And he did not bother me when I was watching my movies at that time. All right. Come on, somebody. All right. Well, let's see what you all said. Let's go to our board. And we thank you for all your responses and input because they were just buzzing today, Dr. Parks. I tell you.
Oh, okay.
All right, Brother Rogers, you can bring it on up. How's your family, Dr. Parks? Everybody's well?
Everybody's well. Everybody's doing well.
Praise
How about you?
Everybody is good. Everybody's well. Men are better communicators than women. Are men better, true or false? All right, Terry, we're going to go back and forth, Dr. Parks, and we will read these comments. Dr. Parks, you take the first one. Let's go.
All right, from D. Thompson, she says it's false. Keep me in your prayers. I fell and was in the hospital for 3 days. I'm home on a walker, but my left leg keeps giving away. I'm in much pain. I have to set up physical therapy.
Okay, well, she said false. Then she went into asking for prayer. So we're going to be praying for Sister D. Thompson. All right, why don't you read Pastor Ross Shields?
Okay, perhaps not better or worse communicators. Different communicators is probably a fair assessment.
Oh, what'd you think about that?
Okay, well, I mean, I think I kind of said that earlier. People communicate differently. You and I, as therapists, we have to definitely know how to communicate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so which means we also have to be what? Good listeners.
Got to be good
All
listening.
right. So if you are, like I said, the art of communicating is being able to send clear signals and being willing to listen to those signals. You see what I'm saying as well.
Come
So
on now. All right, Garfield Philpotts. All right, typically more economic with our numbers of words. However, not necessarily better or worse. The problem usually is both are poor up, what you just said, Dr. Parks, poor
mhm.
listeners, which is the key for good communication. Just my opinion. Thank you, Garfield. Okay. Sister Light, Dr. Parks, let's read hers.
uh, come on, seriously. Like my mother used to say, they are just different, more limited. We like to collaborate more than men for most, maybe not at all.
Oh,
Hmm.
interesting.
So I would, well, I think what okay, I think men are more communicate more on a logic,
Yep.
level, and
Yes.
women communicate more on a um, emotional. Uh, they're
Mm,
at okay. So there's three states of mind: emotion mind, reasonable mind, and wise mind.
right.
Okay, women more so are in that emotional mind.
Yeah.
They go to the store and it's like, oh, I need a new pair of shoes for this ball.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And so they're going to come out of the store and they may have two or three pair of shoes, but they only have two pair of feet. Okay. Or 2 feet, or one pair of feet. So the deal is that a man are going like, look, I need some shoes. Let me go ahead and just grab a pair and come out.
Yeah.
That's the wise mind. Or it may be, you know what? I got shoes that these folks ain't ever seen. I'm gonna just put on my shoes I wear,
That's
But
it.
women that have a new, so they communicate on that emotional level. I
Yeah.
was reading somewhere, I saw something somewhere. It's like if you put, 100 men on a deserted island, by the end of the night, they'll have lodging and everything set up. Women will still be sitting around debating on what they're going to do in the whole. So,
That's funny. That's funny. Okay. I wonder what would happen if they put a woman in that movie Castaway versus Tom Hanks. Would she
yeah.
been able to survive? Interesting. Human beings are both complex and simple creatures. No two are alike. Generalizations such as these do make for great unintelligent conversation, though. Okay, Brandon. All right.
Hmm.
All right. We respect your opinion. However, we need to deal with this still because we are going through people who are going through divorce, separation, and the number one cause of divorce is communication because if something is not lining up. All right, Dr. Parks, let's read Debbie.
I think women are better communicators in general. I think men are better at compartmentalizing
Yes.
things so that communication about one thing is clear. Women tend to connect everything to everything else, and that can be a good thing or a bad thing. Connecting various ideas together when communicating has value because it creates perspective and makes sense. However, when you compartmentalize a discussion, sometimes it's easier to come to a specific conclusion. We need each other to help support and enhance one another's ability to communicate.
Very good, Debbie. That's my book editor. She's the best.
Oh,
Best.
okay.
All right. Yes. All right. Let's read Brother Ennis Woods. Go ahead, Doc.
I don't think your gender makes you a better communicator. Some of the ingredients for a good communicator is openness, honesty, class, truthfulness, sympathetic understanding, the listener's position and perspective, patient and non-judgmental.
Hmm. Okay. Those are some good tools to put in place. All right,
Mhm.
Ronald Tunes. I don't know about the word better, but I do believe we can be more succinct in our communication. That's good. That's good, Ronald. I agree
Mhm.
with that. All right. My good friend Lonnie Alsop from the Maryland area. Depends on what is being spoken about. And that's what Dr. Park said. What are we talking
Mhm.
about here? The topic, okay? Tanya Dykes. Communication is a lost art. I definitely would agree with that. All right. Needs to be worked on. All right, Doc, let's read Lawrence and go to Brother Moore.
Okay. I think it's more accurate to say people who communicate from a place of logic are easier to understand.
Mm,
Okay. And going back up to maybe 3. It says, I don't know about the word better, but I do believe we could be more succinct.
Yes.
Um, I don't know. I kind of agree with that. Maybe the word better needs to be pulled out and the word effective be
More
replaced with that.
okay.
Who's more effective in their communication? But it doesn't matter what word you use. We could, thesaurus this thing all night long. The issue is, it still remains. Is it the person who's delivering, in communication? There's a sender and receiver.
Mhm.
And in between that, is what? Noise. In
Noise.
between that is noise. And so if you're not focused, you're going to miss it.
Right. Right.
Um, did you want me to read the next one?
Oh yeah. Go read the next 3. That's fine.
The Gwendolyn. Okay. More logical in the way they communicate. I'm not sure if she's saying men or women. She
Okay.
just says more logical. And then Talitha, they are more direct.
Women. Why would you talk about?
Okay.
Okay.
Not better or worse, just different.
Okay. All right. Okay. Richard Jones said true, but I would agree without Ross also. He said that being more of an effective communicator. All right. All right. Bobby Lee Andrews. I favor women, but it's relative. Okay, Brother Bobby. All right. Okay. Wendy, false. You believe that women are better communicators. All right, Doc, take Michael Jones.
Men communicate in less words than women. I know that to be true of most men, especially around mixed gender groupings. Men around men, that depends if sports are involved. Better than women, how would that even be qualified or quantified? Better at communicating feelings, facts, and relationships, under what circumstances?
Again, that goes back to what are we talking about? What are we dealing with here?
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Carlisha Swan, both have very different styles. One is no better or worse. We all could use a class and understand the other. Okay, daughter. All right. Go ahead, Doc.
Depends on the context.
That's right, Derek. Okay. Tisa. Go ahead, Doc.
False.
Okay. Go ahead and read Miss Livingston, please.
False, or maybe neither. They just communicate differently. They are very surface level communicators. They typically communicate what they can observe or what is tangible, which is not always welcome.
Ah, okay.
Oh.
Interesting. Okay. Deborah said false. Crystal said people suck at communication in general. Don't need a gender assignment for that. All right. Okay. Okay. All right. Was that our last one? All right. Okay. We had some interesting. It's not too late for you to give us your feedback. Who's more effective? Randy said men are visual people. Really, Randy? Okay. What do you think about that, Dr. Parks? Men are visual people.
Okay, I'm trying to understand in what context when it comes to communication.
Okay.
False, it depends on the topic.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, I do agree that men are visual, but I'm trying to relate it to the topic of communication.
Okay. Well, so, Brother Jones, if you're there, come back and give us more clarity of what you're talking about. All right, so that we can really address it, psychologically for you in a clinical perspective. So, Terry, let me just say this. Arthur would say 1 or 2 words a year. That was it. Okay. He just, I say, are you alive? Are you breathing? He said, if I have something to say, I'll say it. I don't need to be combative. I don't want to be combative. You are already aggressive, Kim. He was passive. So, and I'm glad about that because we gelled well together. But somebody who has an A-type personality like mine's, Doc, and he want to talk and I want to talk, it's going to be combative because I got to get my point out. He needs to get his point out. But is anything really being accomplished? Okay, let's talk about that. I want to talk about etiquette in communication between men and women. There needs to be etiquette. What do you think about that?
I mean, I agree. And that's pretty much, what reflective listening is. I think that when you said, we're combating, we're going against each other. Everybody's trying to be heard, but no one's listening. And so what's the saying? Some people listen to be what? They don't listen to hear, they listen to respond.
God.
And so when that happens, that breakdown in communication, all you're doing is, have you ever had this kind of conversation or argument or whatever? Somebody's going off and then you say, well, you know what? Da, 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 da. And they said, no, that's not what I said. Yes, it is. I heard you. That's what you said. No, that's not what I said, because they're listening to respond and they're not listening to hear. And they've already formulated in their mind their opinion of what's going to happen. And so what you have when it comes to communication, the whole reflective, or it's like a imago therapy. In imago therapy, the steps are, okay, so what I heard you say was, so you reflect back what you heard, and then you say, is there more? And if they say yes or no, you proceed on. So what I heard you say was da, 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 da. Is there more? Yes. Continue. And this and this and that. All right. So what I want to make sure I heard you say was da, 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 and da, da, da. Is that correct? Is there more? No. Okay, so then you start moving, you see what I'm saying, in steps to repair or fix or whatever, that whole deal that's going on. But, through the whole process, people don't validate. That's another way. Valid just means to make true. What are you validating?
Yeah.
You're validating their feelings
That's
about
it.
what's going on.
That is it.
Doesn't mean that the behavior is correct, but I'm going to, you know what, Kim? I understand how you feel about that. I do. And then you start going on, because there's like 6 levels of validation that I'm not going to get in tonight, because it's a whole thing. But just telling you pieces of it. The first one is unbiased listening. Okay, yeah. I'm just sitting here, no judgments, just listening to what you're saying.
Yes.
That's it. I just want to, and okay. Next, level 3, you know what? I understand how you feel about that based on what has happened to you in the past. Based on, you know what? I understand how you can feel upset about that, because you feel that your boss is out to get you at work.
Right.
What's your goal? What's your plan? What are you trying to get accomplished? And see, a lot of times when men, they're going to steal my man card for this. Okay. So here's the situation.
Okay.
Let's pretend that Kim and I are married, and Kim is having problems on the job. Now, I come in and she's going off about what's happened at work. I really don't want to hear it, because I just got home. Mm-hmm. I just want a sandwich. I want to watch the game and go to bed. And so she's telling me all this stuff. And I'm like, So why don't you just quit? You know what I'm saying? Why don't you just quit then? If you feel that way, just quit. Yeah. Just quit. Mm-hmm. And so the deal is like, no, I don't want to quit. And see, a lot of times we as men think that women want us to fix what's going on. Mm-hmm. I don't want you to fix it. Because if I did, I would have put a wrench in your hand. I just want you to listen to what I'm saying. And that's what we think. Oh, I'm in fix-it mode. Because right now the game about to come on, and I really don't want to talk about this right now. Yes. And so what happens is you come in and you've complained about it. And then you go take a shower and your boss calls. Mm-hmm. Well, I know your boss because we've been to plenty, functions or whatever the case may answer the phone looking for you. Oh, yeah. Hey, so listen, Mary, Kim is in the shower right now. I can tell her to call you or whatever. Do you know? No, just tell her it'll be okay. Call me. Go, hey, listen, I wanted to say something. So she was complaining about, what was going on in the department. She says you guys got a new gal over there. I'm talking Southern now. You got a new gal over there in the department, and she's really having a difficult time. She thinks she's out to get her. Now, here's the thing: your boss doesn't even know what's going on. Doesn't even know what's going on. And so I have sat there and spilled the beans to your boss, and your boss is like, oh, really? I didn't know that. Kim didn't share that with me. Yeah, so if you can kind of take care of that and fix her or whatever the case may be, I'll bring it up to her. So you get off the phone, I'm thinking, yeah, I done hooked it up. I know. And so when you get out the shower, I was like, hey, your boss called. Oh, shit, what does she want? Oh, She said for you to call her back. But I told her about that problem you were having with what? What did you tell her I was not gonna?
Yes.
So the issue is that, you know, it's not to fix it, it's just to listen and be present in the moment and saying, okay. And so what I do is when I get complaints and things like that, I will say, wow, that's got to feel awful for you. You know, now I'm validating because I know they feel awful. You know, that must be hard for you because you work so hard to get that position, you know? So tell me what, you know, tell me what you going to do? What's your plan? What's your goal? What do you want to get accomplished? Or what can you do? Or here's another one. What have you tried?
What have you tried to do?
You see what I'm saying? What have you tried? Mm-hmm. And they may say something like, you know, well, you know what? I want to go over there and knock her in the head. Okay, that's an option. I don't know if that would be a good, you know, outcome. But what else can you try? And so basically you're helping them, you see what I'm saying? Fix it without even. And so now I'm going to have a good night. I'm going to watch the game. I'm going to eat my sandwich. I'm gonna go to
and everything is not going to be peaceful when she, no. You know, in order to get, and this is good, Dr. Parks, in order to get understanding, thank you, Tisa. In order to get understanding, you know, because I'm trying to be understood, but in order to be understood, you have to have understanding. And the only way you're going to get understanding, you have to listen. Mm-hmm. You have to be able to understand what that person is conveying to you. And if you keep interrupting that person and cutting that person off, again, etiquette in communication, then you're going to miss the whole point. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I need. That's not what I mean. And a lot of relationships fail, you know, intent matters. Okay. All day edify. Communicate with the intent to control, manipulate while others bring a solution, problem solving focus. Because what I think in being a therapist, one of my most important duties, I must be able to listen. Mm-hmm. And I had a patient yesterday. She lost her best friend, cried and cried. And I gave her some water. I had some water for the whole 60 minutes. I just let her speak. I never interrupted her. I didn't ask her any questions because I knew she would tell me the story. Mm-hmm. And she said, Dr. Logan, I want to thank you so much for just listening. Because she didn't want me to fix anything.
Right.
She came to therapy to have a safe place to be able to share and to be able to have someone to listen to her. And so her daughter stayed in the car because that was her godfather who had a heart attack and passed. She said, I just didn't want to talk about it. That's okay. So when we're talking about effective communication, we're talking about who's conveying a message, how they're conveying a message, and at the end of the conversation, what's going to be your response? Because if you're not listening, Dr. Parks, you're not going to give me the right response. And this is one of my pet peeves. What you say? Say it again. You're not listening. Yes, I was, but say it again. Why do I need to say it again if you was listening? You know, right. So please listen to me. Hey, Daniel. All right, that's our buddy down there. Hey,
Dan.
So I need to be able to listen. And I need to be able to, stay in my place. So again, if I start dating Terry, what type of man do you think, what kind of communicator should I have, Dr. Parks? You know me, what type of man I need?
You really need a listener. You really need someone who's going to listen because you say a whole lot. You know what I'm saying? You say a whole lot. And you got to be listening because if you're not, you're going to miss something. So it's like, I would be like, okay, is there more? Is that? So let me make sure I understand this because you said a lot. And I want to make sure I got it clear. And you go back and reframe and say, okay, is that okay? So what I heard you say was, okay, good. So now I can move forward because I don't want to get caught up and chopped up in that. You didn't hear a word I said.
Yeah, word I said.
I did. Yes, I did. And sometimes my clients, talking about etiquette. Okay, talking about etiquette. sometimes my not necessarily my therapy clients, but my domestic violence clients,
Mm,
they will begin to, argue and go on and carry on the phone.
mercy.
And I'm like, I don't even know you. You haven't signed up for class or whatever. Or if they were dismissed from a class for either sleeping or eating or whatever they were doing. And I'm trying to tell them something after they've asked me a question and they start, with the rah-rah. I said, you know what? Let me stop. I'm gonna let you finish because we can't keep going back and forth. Now, I listened to you, but it sounds like you have more you want to say. So go ahead and say that. And then when you're done, I'm gonna speak. No, no, no. Go ahead, doctor. I said, no, you go ahead and say what you want to say. And then when they get it all out, I will say, okay, are you done? So let me make sure. This is what I heard you say, that you are unhappy or you are displeased because you were dismissed from class. Go to your rules, pull it out. What does it say right here? Right. That's why you were dismissed. Okay. Any other questions? I'm not changing anything. Let's move forward. You'll know next week, this is what you can and cannot do. And you should know it from the beginning. So there's no need. What is the saying? Don't argue with fools because from a distance, you can't tell who's who. That's why I don't get caught up in that. I let the person say whatever. And I was like, okay, are you done? Is there? Okay, great. Sounds like you had a lot to say. Let me go ahead and say my piece.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much how I can be. There was something up here. Yeah, I'm real solution focused. Yeah. That's what I am, being solution focused. Yeah. How can we fix this? What is it? How can I help you? What do you need me to do?
Right. I have a client. She loves her boyfriend. Mm-hmm. And she's expecting their child. They're expecting a child. But he's more consumed in his affection or his relationship with the baby versus the mother. Mm-hmm. At the end of the therapy session, I have my couples hug each other. I have to say to him, hug her. And she, and I'll say, he said, well, what do you want me to do? And it's like, he doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know what to communicate. He doesn't know how to communicate his feelings. Men, they say, have been programmed not to be emotional. If I have a little boy who falls down on a bike and my little girl falls on the bike, we say to the little boy, get up, you all right. That's where we're communicating. The little girl, come here, let mommy fix it. Let daddy look at this, Look, come on, let's blow a kiss on it, all right? Yeah. But the little boy is standing over there. Well, why didn't anybody blow a kiss on my wound? We've been programmed to teach boys how not to feel. And when they get older, we get angry because they don't know how to communicate their feelings. So what do you want these men to do? Because on one end, I don't communicate because you tell me not to communicate. Stay quiet, stay strong. Last night, stay here with me now, Dr. Parks. I was watching the NFL draft. And I was, watching it back on social media. And I love it because I love the reaction of the mothers. I love that. And how they, and their stories. I love the stories. But last night I was watching this one young man. And before the coach could say anything, he started crying. The coach said, you all right? He said, yes, I'm okay. I'm okay. And then the mother was like, okay, go on and cry. And the father said, I will never tell my son not to cry and never not to feel. This is an exciting time for us all. And all three of his boys are in the NFL. And he said they all three were crying because the baby brother made it into the NFL.
Made it. That's awesome.
Yeah, all right. So I want you all to know that we as women, let me say this, women, we need to stop being so hard on the men. Because you've got to look at the family origin and what they are a product of and their communication styles. And then you get with them, you're trying to take them into something they don't even know. You got to take them back to square one. And then being able to understand where they are and be patient in the process. And ladies, we don't have it all together either because we holler, we scream. We will follow a man to every room in the house. Did you hear what I said? Why are you still following him to the bedroom, to the house? The man can't get away from you. You can't even think.
Right.
You feel talking for 55 minutes. All right.
Oh man.
Come on, Gary, help me out. Come on now.
I think you, I think you hitting the nail on the head. Here's the other thing too. I think men are more nonverbal communicators, and women are more verbal.
Yes.
I think the way we communicate is more action oriented, than behavior oriented. So it's like, okay, we don't go around. Well, you don't ever tell me you love me.
Right.
I put you in this big house.
Right.
I keep these lights on. I keep that water running. That Wi-Fi work when you want to hook up. That cell phone I'm paying for. That car you drive. That car note paying. What are you talking about? I don't have to say it. Where it's shown in behavior. And women, sometimes, well, I want flowers and chocolate. I want this. I want you to hear them say you love me. And going back to what you were saying. Okay, let me add this. And
okay.
I actually did I did a piece on it. I think it was called Why He Can't Tell You How He Feels.
Come on now.
It kind of goes in line with what you said. So imagine this, and this is just to, kind of piggyback. And it comes from men too, but picture this. Because it could happen even with a man in the home. But let's just say there's a single mom who's trying to raise a boy or boys. And so dad is not there for whatever reason. And so, like you said, he falls, he gets hurt. And so then you hear what? Hey, now you got to be the man of the house. You can't be crying. You got to be a big boy, and big boys don't cry. So there starts the indoctrination.
There it is.
Well, he's trying to suck it up. Then he comes home and somebody took his ball or somebody took his bike, and mom's still in there doing it. You better go get it, because I ain't going to get it. And if somebody put their hands on you, you better knock them out. Mm-hmm. What did LL Cool J say? Mama said, knock you out. So we get learned. We're taught this now. We're taught this early.
Yeah.
Okay. And so this also kind of feeds into the domestic violence piece. A lot of us are not, as men or little boys, we're never really taught, don't put your hands on a girl until when? You put your hands on a girl. That's when you find out. You see what I'm saying? Well, mama, you said knock him out. Well, you can't hit no girl like that. Well, you didn't tell me that. You didn't differentiate when you gave me the lesson. Mm-hmm. And so what happens is, as we grow older, we start doing what? Repressing those feelings. You can't cry. You can't cry. And it gets reinforced by who? Your peer group?
Yes.
Coaches?
Come on.
Family members? Your girl?
Yes.
You cry like a little girl.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to shut up. I ain't telling you nothing.
Nothing.
I'm not sharing any of my feelings with you.
Right.
I ask guys when we're talking about emotion regulation in my domestic violence classes, I will say to them, what feelings or, emotions should not be shared with a woman? You feel should be shared with everything. Don't tell her nothing. And I'm like, what? Because, man, they'll use it against you later. They use it against you later. So now here it is. Okay. I grow up and I done been hit on the football field, want to cry. When you see these guys get, they ankle twisted or sprained in a basketball game and they on the ground, they writhing around. Oh, I know they go in that locker room and holler. I've been there. I know how it feels. And you got to fight it back. Yeah. You got to fight it back because, that's a man. That's a man. Right. And so now here it is. I've gotten older. I'm out there. I done fought in the street. I ain't cried. I kept, whatever, when I really wanted to. And then I started dating. I see this one. Whoa, there go Kim. I think I want to holler at Kim. So I started talking to Kim, and I bring Kim back home. Mm-hmm. And my mama, well, how y'all doing, Kim? How you and my son doing? Oh, Miss Parks, he's just real sweet guy, but he just don't share with me. He don't talk to me. He don't tell me what's going on. And then mama say what? Girl, you know how men are.
That's what exactly.
You taught me that. You taught me that. You taught me how to repress my emotions.
Yeah.
You know how men are. Mm-hmm. You taught me that. Mm-hmm. And so we are taught to a man got to be tough. You got to take it. It reminds me of a part in what was it? Godfather. Remember when the singer came to him and he was like, Godfather, I'm out in Vegas. I'm trying to get a gig and I can't get nothing or whatever. He's crying. He was like, what is wrong with you? Be a man.
Yeah. Mama Brando said yes.
Well, what does that mean? That means I can't cry.
Right.
So we are taught to, the most times you will see guys cry, or the only time is at a funeral when it's somebody they love.
Right.
They will cry over a dog before they cry to a woman, because that woman, and a lot of times will use it. Oh man, I can't have this guy. He crying. Or what are they calling guys now? Oh, he a simp. That's all you hear.
Yeah,
He a simp because he crying. Don't you want me to? I want to be able to come in and communicate with my partner, my feelings, and it not being used against me.
Right.
But when it gets used against, I'm just like, I ain't got nothing to say. I ain't saying a word. I ain't saying a word. What's wrong with you? Nothing.
And Terry, let me tell you something. And you see it in the children. You see it in children. Children will walk in the house and they don't speak. They don't share. Well, how was your day? Fine. I'm okay. Don't you want to have a conversation? No. Because they don't have they don't feel safe with their parents.
They don't feel safe expressing their emotions.
Right. And being honest. And when I was growing up, I had, a older person that burned Seventh-day Adventist Church that we would go to, Sister Shirley Tatum. Oh, everybody talked to Shirley, and she was our go-to. But she would always encourage us to go and talk to our parents, In college, we have our Kappa brothers and we have our sorors, and we have people that we lean on and talk to. But, looking at what's important for us is, of course, our relationship with God. And we're going to take that to the end. Good evening, my sister. I'm going to tell you something else about women. Women will, okay, I said scream, holler. They will beat you down. You need to just, stop doing what you're doing. And you need to, man up. And like you, right, I got that house for you wanted, that credit card, I remember one time Arthur came home with a credit card. I said, "Ooh, what's this? Had my name on it, Terry." And he said, "This is for you." I said, "Oh, you love me because I love to shop." Okay. That's all you need to do. I don't need you to tell me you love me. I know you love me because you gave me a credit card under your own Social Security number where you gonna be paying the bill.
Right.
But I learned how to understand his communication. I'm gonna tell you something else, and I gotta bring you back for this show too. Intimacy, romance, and sex. One woman told me yesterday, and I have to tell you something, Doc. 90% of my clientele are men now. They're becoming more and more men. Men are finding a safe place, praise the Lord, to come and talk to me every week. And they do not miss their appointments. They're about to lose their minds, some of them. But, looking at how they, want to have sex. And one woman told me yesterday, the only time you touch me is when you have sex. But you never touch this and you never touch my heart. You only come close to me when you want to have sex. But you do not talk. You do not share. The only time you talk is in counseling. Because Dr. Logan is saying to you, this is your safe place. Share it. Talk about it. And he says, I've got to do better. He says, I do need to be better. He says, my mother always told me, be quiet, boy. Be quiet, boy. You don't need to say anything. And now that these children are gotten older, they become men and women in high positions and places of business and running government, Terry, they have to have communication skills.
Yeah, they have excellent communication skills.
Because now we're going to have a fast turnover in the employment sector. In the church, our pastors need to have effective communication skills. We're getting more and more female leaders as pastors in the church. And again, being able to bring that together. Terry, let me ask you a question. Men want peace, do they not? They want peace. Okay. What do you think women want?
That's an excellent question, because in my men's group last night, Monday night, we're talking about when we moved from power and control. Then we talked about women's aggression. And then we talked about equality. And so, the question was, what do women want? And there were a myriad of responses. Some guys say they want everything. Some guys say they want everything and nothing. Some guys said it doesn't matter what they want because whatever they want, we ain't going to be able to grant it. They just continue to go on and on. And so we talked about, do women want, do they want to be equal? Do they want fairness? Do they want to be equal or do they want fair? And so we kind of narrowed it down because they're hollering equality. But really, what does equality mean?
Mm-hmm.
What does equality mean? Does equality, okay, you want to be treated, equal?
Equal.
I'll treat you equal.
Okay.
So when I go up to the door, I hold the door for myself.
Mm.
You mean you're not going to hold that door open for me? Well, you said you wanted to be equal.
Equal.
Feminist, whatever you got going on, that's equality. Well, you're not going to take the trash out?
Mm.
You said you wanted to be equal. I got to take out the trash. Hey, you take it out too. Oh, see, you can't pick it up and put it down when you want to.
When it's convenient.
It's like, do you really want equality?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's no. I want to be treated, counted, and respected.
That's right.
That's what I really want.
That's
I want somebody who's going to listen to me and attend to my needs. But in return, what are you giving up? What are you offering?
Mm-hmm.
What do I get for that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. A lot of times guys will go out and buy their wives things or get things like, why you buy these? I ain't want no flower. Well, shoot, I don't know. I thought I messed up or something. What did I do? And you go out and you do things that are not the right things, but you're thinking like, okay, I don't know what it is you want. I don't know what it is you want. And sometimes women expect us to know what it is they want. Well, you should have known that. You should have known that. How could I know that if you didn't tell me? You didn't open up your mouth and tell me. I don't know you wanted something to eat. I'm coming in at 9 o'clock at night. You've been here all day. I thought you ate already.
Right. You text everything else. You need to text me that.
Right. I'm going to the store. You want anything? No. Okay. Go get me some. Come back. So you didn't bring me nothing. You said you didn't want anything.
Right.
You didn't want anything.
Every time.
You should have known. Oh my God, how should I have known? And so what the guys came up with last night is we're in a catch-22.
Right. Oh yeah.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And I think that comes from, I think a lot of that comes from, the way you were raised. I think a lot of it comes from, society, putting all this, foolishness out there. And, here's my thing, it doesn't matter to me what you want. If you want to be the CEO, if you want to be the president, if you want to be whoever, you want to be an executive director, it doesn't matter to me.
Come on.
As long as when you come through those doors, you don't forget your role.
You know your role.
In here, that CEO, leave that at the office.
Yeah.
Leave that administrative, person at the office. Leave that director at the office. Leave that there. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Some people come home. Some women come home and communicate at home like they are at work.
At work, yes. Let me say this.
Like they're at work.
And Arthur caught me one day. He says, "Hold on, who you think you're talking to?" And I was like, "Wait a minute now. What did I do?" He said, "When you cross this threshold, you are no longer Dr. Kim Logan-Nowlin. You are my wife. Step into that role. And I'm your husband. I'm your spiritual leader. I am leading. You can lead and be Dr. Kim all day long over at the Fisher Building, but in this home, I am running things up in here, and we're running it together. When I bring you back, Dr. Parks, we've got to talk about intimacy, romance, sex, and emotional affairs, because that's my new book. I have a new book coming out. Don't cross the line. Don't cross the line. and why these things begin to happen. What are we looking for when we start communicating, conveying?
Mm-hmm.
I like those glasses, Dr. Parks. Ooh, you looking good with that nice beard, And then I call you again. Well, what's up, Kim? Thank you, Terry, for being on the show. Then I call you again. Kim show calling me a lot. What's going on here? Okay. We got to be careful not to cross those lines. So that's all. We got to do that in June before the summer breaks. Because the clothes start coming off in June, all right? And it might be May, end of May. So in closing, Dr. Parks, what can you say? Because I do want to give a couple of things before we go off there. But in closing, what do you say to us, as human beings and the way we need to communicate? Can you sum that up for us?
Yeah, I think that, let me see, I had my hand on. I think here's a few, rules of communication. Okay. Number one, and these are what we use in our class, is keep it simple. Okay. Keep it simple. Be succinct and to the point. Okay. You have the power to clarify. If you don't understand it, use it. Clarify. Okay. Go slow and be specific and avoid vague language. Okay. 4, take time to understand how each person defines important terms, because what's important to you may not be important to me and vice versa. Okay. Next step, avoid bringing up the past.
Yes. Oh.
Yeah, but remember the time you. Okay, now we've lost it. You see what I'm saying? And this is the kicker for all us Christian folk. 1 Corinthians 13.
Okay.
Love what? Doesn't keep record.
Come
so
on.
Therefore, if I love you, I'm not bringing up the past.
Come on.
Okay. Then talk for yourself, not for your partner. See, what you was telling me was, and what you was saying, no, I'm going to talk for myself. Okay. It's kind of like when you apologize. Okay. You know what, Kim? I am, well, you know what? I'm sorry for, because you felt that way, but, I ain't, I ain't mean to say it like that, but that's just how I am. And it came out like that, but I ain't trying to hurt you or whatever the case may be. Keep that. I don't want that. That's not an apology.
No.
However, if I come at you and say, and it's like, well, if I made you hear, when people apologize, you hear, if I made you feel bad. I told you did. There is no if. So I don't come in, well, if I made you feel bad, it's, you know what, Kim, I apologize for making you feel that way. That was not my intention.
That's not.
You forgive me for that. I didn't say what you did in the situation. I didn't say if I made you, because you told me you did. There is no if. And again, I'm going to validate you. Validate what? Your feelings about it. Valid means to make true. I'm making true your feelings. Everybody's feelings are valid.
That's it.
Because they're your feelings. Okay, if that's the way you feel about it.
Come on.
Okay. Next step. The goal is not to win, but to cooperate. On a goal. We got to cooperate on the goal.
Yeah.
The most important step in being a good communicator is being a good listener.
Yes. Yes.
8 steps of communication. That's what we use in my classes.
Amen, Dr. Parks. I love you. I appreciate you. And he's such a humble man. Everybody knows you to be a humble man of God. And he's a servant in his church. Real quick, Dr. Parks, tell us about your practice and your business and where are you?
Okay, I am in the Metro Atlanta area. Well, one of my offices. Let me see, 1, 2, 3, about 4 different counties. I do individual therapy, groups. Haven't done groups. Well, the groups are domestic violence groups. But I haven't done groups in a while since COVID. Haven't done children in a while since COVID. But therapy, couples, bariatric psychologicals for people who are having bariatric surgery, and domestic violence courses, and about to start a podcast here in a couple months. So be looking for it.
All right. I'm ready for it. And I'm looking forward. We're working on some things for Dr. Parks to come to Detroit for us to do a conference. And I was looking at, again, being able to understand my feelings as a man, a men's conference, because it's so needed, and then maybe one of those days on the weekend, women can come and we can deal with everybody, but we definitely want to set aside an evening for men, or that day for men, to be able to have workshops, seminars, and to be able to hear Dr. Parks talk to you. What is the purpose of communication? Communication serves 5 major purposes: to inform, to express feelings, to imagine, to influence, and to meet social expectations. There are 7 communication styles. Being assertive, this is one of the most recommended communication styles and reflects and promotes high self-esteem. Aggressive, this style involves winning even if it's at someone else's expense. Passive aggressive, submissive, manipulative, direct, and indirect. What are the 4 types of listening style? Deep listening occurs when you are committed to understand the speaker's perspective. Full listening involves paying close attention and careful attention to what the speaker is conveying. Critical listening, therapeutic listening. The 7 types of listening skills: informational, discriminative, biased, sympathetic, comprehensive, and empathetic or therapeutic. Critical listening. We've been talking tonight to Dr. Terry Parks, and we've been talking about men and women, men versus women. Who is the more effective communicator? Depends on the topic, depends on what's going on. But I will say this, that a relationship between you must include God in the conversation. You must have God in your marriage, in your friendship, in your dating process, in your own personal life, how you communicate. Terry, when I read my Bible, I put, Kim, he that dwells in the secret place will hide Kim under the wings of the Almighty. I make it personal in my communication to God. So we want you to know that God needs to be the center. God wants us to be better communicators, and God wants us to live to be well. Listen, we will see you here next week celebrating Mother's Day, pre-Mother's Day. We have phenomenal. Yes. And Dr. Parks will be back with us again in June, talking about that love thing. Okay. All right. Yeah. Thank you, Danny. It was awesome. Dr. Parks take us to a whole new level. Live to be well. You got to say live to be well, Dr. Parks. Say live to be well.
Live to be well.
Calm down. Listen, I'm Dr. Kim, and thank you, Dr. Parks. Continue to be the best that you can be and live to be well. God bless you and good night.